Siberia is shrouded in mystery. Geographically, it is the largest region of Russia with hundreds, maybe thousands, of ecosystems and weird flora and fauna. It is the land of snow and ice and Pitsen. But as well as all that amazing stuff, apparently, there are also plenty of other odd things to be found. So join us in today's video as we're heading deep into this frozen wilderness to uncover 15 of the strangest things recently discovered in the ice of Siberia. And trust us, it's a fun one. Number 15. Mystery Craters of Siberia. One big hole in the earth was enough to grab attention. We are talking about big like really massive, but when more began showing up in the Siberian tundra, people stopped laughing. The first huge crater appeared out of nowhere near the Yamal Peninsula. Ice, soil, and rock blasted out in every direction. Locals thought it might have been a meteorite or a secret missile test, but scientists say it's probably methane gas explosions. As the ice melts, gas trapped for thousands of years builds up pressure until it finally goes boom. The thing is, nobody actually saw it happen. Drones, satellite images, and news choppers caught the aftermath. Massive holes with perfectly clean walls like the ground just gave up. Some of these craters are over 60 feet deep, and as global temperatures climb, more keep popping up. Researchers say it's likely we'll see more of these as trapped gases expand and escape. It's less of a mystery now, but no less unnerving. Earth punching holes in its own skin isn't exactly comforting. It's a warning. Number 14. 3500. Year-old bear. Somewhere in eastern Siberia, reindeer herders stumbled across a full brown bear preserved in ice for about 3,500 years. And it wasn't just bones. This thing had skin, fur, soft tissue, and even bits of its last meal still inside. It stood about 5 feet tall and weighed roughly 170 pounds. Most finds like this are partial or mangled, but this one was complete, and scientists wasted no time cutting it open. They sliced through the body, studied its organs, removed the brain, and ran tests on everything from gut bacteria to cell structures. Even feathers and plants from its stomach were preserved, offering a glimpse into the bear's last day alive. It's one of the only full bear carcasses ever found that's this old. Cold storage did its job, and the result was a forensic gold mine. Well, as grim and creepy as it sounds, this dissected bear gave scientists a rare shot at studying ancient anatomy down to the microscopic level, with nothing left out but the roar. Number 13. Doorway to the underworld. If a place is known as the doorway to the underworld, you can probably assume it's not a peaceful picnic spot. But that's what locals in eastern Siberia started calling the Bataga crater, aka a mega slump. It began forming after massive deforestation destabilized the area, removing the trees that helped keep the permafrost cool. Once the ground lost that protection, the frozen soil began to melt, collapse, and sink deeper every year. It's now an enormous, ever-growing scar on the Earth's surface. But what makes it even more intense is what's being exposed: ancient soil layers, prehistoric bones, long frozen animals, and even gases like methane and carbon dioxide. Scientists have found that the melting itself is releasing even more greenhouse gases, creating a vicious cycle. The hole gets bigger, the ice melts faster, and more gas escapes. The process isn't slowing down. The deeper it gets, the older the materials it reveals. And none of this is good news. Number 12. 32,000. Year-old plant rebooted. Back in 2012, Russian scientists pulled off something straight out of sci-fi. They revived a plant from a 32,000-year-old fruit. The seeds came from ancient squirrel burrows frozen solid near the Kolyma River. These burrows, buried in the permafrost, had been untouched since the Ice Age. Inside were preserved fruits of Silene stenophila, a flower species still around today. But this wasn't just a stunt. The plant that grew was fully functional. It flowered, reproduced, and produced viable seeds. That makes it the oldest living plant ever grown from ancient tissue. It beat the previous record by thousands of years. The fruit had been buried roughly 124 feet underground and was likely frozen shortly after being stored by an Ice Age squirrel that never made it back to the pantry. Using cryobiology techniques, researchers successfully coaxed life out of the cells. No splicing, no modification, just thaw, nurture, and wait. It worked. And now we have a flower alive today that was last growing when humans were still figuring out fire. Number 11. Dennisova Cave. The cave is located in the mountains of Siberia and Russia. It's a site of massive significance and was discovered back in the 1970s. But it wasn't until 2010 that things took a wild turn when scientists uncovered a finger bone that belonged to a completely unknown species of ancient human. They named them the Denisovans, after the cave itself. What made this group unique is that they shared DNA with both Neanderthals and modern humans, changing everything we thought we knew about early human evolution. The cave itself has also produced loads of archaeological material, including tools and fossils that go back tens of thousands of years. Thanks to its consistent temperature and sealed interior, the cave preserved organic material in incredible condition. It gave researchers a rare look into multiple stages of human development in one place. Denisova is not just another dig site, it's a snapshot of who we were and who we became. Number 10. Siberia sits, monster mummy. Diamond miners in Yakutia weren't expecting to unearth something that would spark weeks of debate across Russian media. What they pulled out of the permafrost in 2016 looked bizarre, furry, deformed, twisted into a fetal curl. Locals dubbed it the monster mummy, and it didn't take long for the wild theories to roll in. Dinosaur? Alien? Ancient demon? But it was probably none of those. Experts believe it's either a wolverine, a deformed dog, or a frozen fox, preserved so well that time blurred its features into myth. It was found in a layer of frozen sand inside a diamond mine, over 1,100 miles from Moscow, not a hot spot for excitement. So naturally, this became the talk of the town. Some swore it had claws like a lizard. Others were convinced it had scales. But once scientists got involved, the hype fizzled into DNA tests and bone scans. Still, for a few days, Siberia had its own cryptid headline until the lab coats showed up and ruined the party. Number 9. Ancient stone bracelet. This is the world's oldest stone bracelet, and it wasn't found in some high-end museum. It was dug up in 2008 inside Dennisova Cave. It's made from chlorite and dates back 70,000 years. It left experts stunned, not just because of its age, but because of how it was made. It had a drilled hole, perfect polish, and signs of being worked with tools nobody thought existed back then. The people behind it? The Denisovans, an extinct group of ancient humans, separate from Neanderthals and modern Homo sapiens. This bracelet shattered the old belief that Paleolithic humans lacked advanced crafting techniques. Instead, it showed they had the tools, skills, and patience to make detailed wearable items. Its layer in the sediment was older than expected, making it one of the first pieces of proof that ancient humans had more advanced technology than we gave them credit for. It wasn't just an artifact. It was a whole era of human capability locked in stone. Number 8. Severed wolf's head. When a mammoth tusk hunter was walking near the banks of a Siberian river, he came across something he definitely wasn't expecting. A prehistoric wolf's head, fully intact. The entire head, including fur, skin, muscle, and even brain tissue, had been preserved in the permafrost for over 32,000 years. This wasn't your average modern wolf either. It belonged to a now extinct species known as the steppe wolf. These animals weren't direct ancestors of today's wolves, but belonged to a different evolutionary branch. The head alone measured almost 16 inches in length, which is significantly larger than modern wolves' heads. Scientists took the find seriously. They conducted DNA sequencing, studied its teeth, examined the tissues, everything. It became the first known partial carcass of a steppe wolf ever found. The preservation was so detailed that even the snout and gums looked disturbingly fresh. It wasn't just a cool fossil, it was a time capsule with teeth. Number 7. Ancient doll and mythical animal. In a 4500-year-old Siberian burial site, archaeologists uncovered something both simple and surprising, a toy. Alongside the grave of an ordinary child, they found what's believed to be the world's oldest known doll and a figure shaped like a mythical creature, carved from horn. It wasn't some religious idol or symbolic statue. Unlike Egyptian fertility icons, this one was clearly crafted for play. That's what makes it rare. Only partial remains of the doll survived, but they show signs of fine craftsmanship. Most likely, other parts were made of softer materials that didn't last thousands of years. What stands out here is that this wasn't an elite tomb, it belonged to a regular kid. That suggests even ordinary families made thoughtful, creative items for their children. These objects didn't just survive, they told a story. A child, long gone, once held these in their hands. And for all the centuries that have passed, some things, like the instinct to create joy, haven't changed. Number 6. Clay head. Back in 1968, a bizarre-looking clay head was found in a Siberian burial site, and its purpose still isn't fully understood. It's about 2,100 years old, and is believed to be a death mask from a Bronze Age group called the Tagar culture, descendants of the Scythians. These people lived across southern Siberia and were known for their cattle herding and metalwork. The mask wasn't just a sculpture. Thanks to modern scanning technology, scientists discovered a sheep skull hidden inside. Why a sheep's head was buried inside a human clay mask is still up for debate. Some think it could have been a ritual substitute for a body that was missing or destroyed. Others suggest it might have symbolized something spiritual. The mask is thought to be part of a burial tradition that marked the final phase of the Tagar culture before it faded out. Despite years of research, the reason behind placing a sheep's skull in a human-shaped mask is still unknown. But the creep factor? Undeniable. What do you think about it? Well, let us know. Number 5. Ancient puppy. An 18,000-year-old pup pulled straight from the permafrost near Yakutsk sparked more than just sympathy, it sparked debate. Its body was so well preserved that fur, teeth, whiskers, and even the wet shape of its nose were all still visible. Scientists say it died at just 2 months old. But here's where things got weird. When they ran DNA tests, it didn't register as a dog or a wolf. It was something older, something sitting at the evolutionary crossroads between both. This wasn't just some frozen pet. It might be the ancestor of everything from border collies to Arctic wolves. Radiocarbon dating confirmed its age, but genetic sequencing is where things got interesting. The preserved tissue gave researchers a perfect chance to study how early domestication began. And yeah, it's a little sad looking at a puppy that's been frozen for almost 20 millennia. But in the scientific world, this thing is gold, wrapped in fur, DNA, and an evolutionary question mark that may help define an entire species divide. This pup is special. Number 4. The woolly mammoth. If there's one creature you'd expect to find frozen in Siberian ice, it's the woolly mammoth. Still, that didn't stop a small village near the Laptev Sea from freaking out in 2010 when they found an actual mummified mammoth just lying there like it missed the last 39,000 years. The cold had preserved it shockingly well. Its face was still recognizable. Some hair still clung to its body, and scientists estimate it was around 6 to 8 years old when it died, weighing in at nearly 5 tons. And here's where it gets super wild. This isn't just a dead relic. With modern genetic tools and the mammoth's close link to the Asian elephant, scientists are actively working to bring it back. Resurrection science is real, and the woolly mammoth is at the top of the list. If that ever works out, don't be too shocked if one day you wake up, look outside, and there's a mammoth chilling in your front yard. And as we've seen, the dire wolf and woolly mouse 2025 is weird. Number 3. Dead alien. In 2011, a strange video surfaced online claiming to show the body of a dead alien in a snowy field in Irkutsk, Siberia. Two Russian men appear in the shaky footage, casually pointing at what looks like a classic alien body. 3 feet tall, thin arms and legs, an oversized head, and those classic black eyes. The video went viral instantly. People began speculating about everything from crashed UFOs to secret government labs. But when experts finally took a closer look, the mystery fell apart fast. The so-called alien turned out to be a homemade prop built with chicken skin, bread, and rubber. The two men admitted to faking the whole thing for fun. Even though it was completely debunked, the clip still floats around the internet, occasionally showing up in proof of extraterrestrials threads. It's not the first time a hoax like this has fooled people, and it definitely won't be the last. What it did prove was that the internet really wants aliens to be real badly. Number 2. 40,000-year-old foal. When researchers dug into the Bataga crater in eastern Siberia back in 2018, they weren't expecting to find a perfectly preserved foal, but they did, roughly 40,000 years old. The young horse had fallen into a natural trap, likely drowned, and been flash frozen ever since. The body was discovered 328 feet below the surface and remained astonishingly intact. Not just bones, this foal still had fur, skin, muscle tissue, and even individual hairs inside its nostrils. Standing about 39 inches tall at the shoulder, it was no older than 2 months when it died. This species no longer exists, but it's closely related to modern-day horses. Scientists studied its tissue, hair samples, and even gut contents to piece together its final moments. They found traces of the last vegetation it ate, frozen alongside the animal itself. It's rare to find any Ice Age mammal in such pristine condition, let alone an entire baby horse. Nature preserved it like a mother. Number 1. Arctic zombie viruses. So viruses frozen in ice for over 15,000 years are making a comeback. Scientists digging around the Tibetan plateau pulled up ice cores that hadn't seen sunlight since mammoths walked the earth. Inside, 33 different viruses, 28 of which we've never seen before. These aren't just dusty little fossils either, some were still viable. The ice preserved them so well that their genetic material was readable, and in some cases functional. Most were adapted to brutal icy conditions, so naturally the warming climate is just what they need to stretch their legs. They were trapped in layers of annual snowfall, buried over time at an altitude of 22,000 feet. That snowfall also captured whatever was floating around back then: viruses, bacteria, ancient schmutz. These samples were pulled in 2015 and only recently cracked open. Scientists say the risk is low for now, but if we keep melting ancient ice, who knows what else we're digging up? It's not just fossils anymore, it's whatever those fossils sneezed out. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.